The first thing that you need to understand is what is distributed tracing. Okay, so for you to be able to do that, just go straight to ChatGPT, okay, and type what is distributed tracing in Spring Boot. Okay, now once you get here, we'll find that distributed tracing in Spring Boot is a technique used to track the path of request as it flows through a distributed system. Okay, understand one thing: track the path of request as it flows through a distributed system. Okay, now if you come down here, we have what we call spring cloud. Okay, now in Spring Boot provides built-in support for distributed tracing through what we call Spring Cloud Sleuth library. Okay, now let's go straight to Spring Cloud Sleuth. Okay, now we have 3.1.7. This is the latest version actually. Okay, but we find that Spring Cloud's Loop last minor version was 3.1. So you can check the 3.1 point something here if you click here. Okay, but the core of this project got moved to micrometer tracing. Okay, so Spring Boot Cloud 3.1.7 does not support sleuth, so the project got moved to micrometer tracing. So we're going to be using micrometer tracing. Okay, now how do you do distributed tracing using micrometer tracing? Okay, there's one thing that I want you also to understand, and that is what we call Prometheus open source monitoring system. So what is this? What is Prometheus? Okay, Prometheus is an open source monitoring system that was originally developed by SoundCloud in 2012 to monitor their infrastructure. So this is a SoundCloud, okay, open source. Okay, and what did it used to do to monitor their infrastructure? It was later an open source in 2015, as it is now maintained by the Prometheus community. Understand? So we're gonna use micrometer. We're gonna use this micrometer, and we're also gonna use this Prometheus. Okay, we have it over here. We have Prometheus. Okay, so if I jump straight to my dependencies, okay, I have these dependencies here. Okay, so I'm using Spring Boot 3.0.6. Okay, that's the version of Spring Boot that I'm using. But if you come down here, we have these dependencies. The first one is micrometer registry with Prometheus. Understand? Remember, this is an open source that was used by SoundCloud, okay, to monitor the project. Okay, so we're gonna use micrometer registry with Prometheus. Okay, so what does this mean here? Okay, so quickly let's go down here. So we have micrometer registry with Prometheus. This is a tool that helps measure and monitor the performance of software application. So it's a tool, okay, that is used to measure and monitor the performance of a software application. Understand? So if I click on my project, that's why we are using this dependency here. Then we have this dependency here, micrometer tracing bridge. Okay, OTEL. Okay, so what does this dependency do? So if I come down here, we have this dependency here. This is another tool that helps with measuring and monitoring software performance. Okay, so it's used to measure and monitor software performance. Okay, it works by tracing the flow of data through an application so that developers can see where things are going wrong and make improvement. So that's the reason why we are using this one here. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is that I will click here, and then we're gonna go again to Zipkin. Okay, so what does this Zipkin do? Okay, so let's go back again to our notes, and we'll find that this is a tool that helps developers monitor and analyze the behavior of the application. Okay, it works by exporting data about the application performance to a program called Zipkin. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to set up Zipkin. Okay, then after that, let's go straight to another dependency that you need to have is what we call the actuator. Okay, so what does this actuator do? Okay, so let's go down here. We have JPA that persists data, but we are not dealing with web and JPA. We are dealing with actually Micrometer. So this actuator here is a tool that provides a set of libraries and tools that help developers monitor and manage their application. That's where we are using this actuator. Okay, actuator. Okay, then after that, we have the last dependency that you need to have is micrometer tracing. Okay. Now, micrometer tracing, what does micrometer tracing do? Okay. This is another tool that helps with measuring and monitoring software performance. It works by tracing the flow of data through an application and say, okay, so that is micrometer tracing. So these are the dependencies that you need to have in your pom.xml for you to be able to work with um, distributed tracing. So the first one is micrometer tracing. Second one is actuator. Third is Zipkin. This copy exactly what you see here. Okay. The next one is micrometer tracing bridge OTEL, and then we have the Prometheus one here that is supported by SoundCloud. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and add this. Then after that, right click, then come to Maven and then click on reload. Okay, so that everything can be reloaded back to your project. Okay. Then the next thing that we need to do is that we need to set up Zipkin. Okay, it's very, very important for us to be able to set up Zipkin. Okay, so for us to be able to do that, if I click here and go straight to Zipkin website, so we have Zipkin. Okay, so let me click here. So if I go straight to Zipkin over here, okay, so we have Zipkin here is a distributed tracing system to help gather timing data needed to troubleshoot the latency problem in services architecture. Okay, so the only thing that you need to do is click here on the quick start. Okay, and how do you install Zipkin in your project? So we're gonna be running Docker. Okay, if you haven't installed Docker, go ahead and install Docker from the website. Okay, once you have Docker running, then you can run zip you can create a container inside Docker that can run Zipkin. Okay, so the Docker Zipkin project is able to build Docker images, provide script, and this one for launching pre-built images. So what we're going to do is that we'll go straight to our application and create a file called docker compose.yaml. So we're going to create this file here. So for us to do that, what we're going to do is that we will come to our project here in the root folder, which is this one here. This is my root folder here. I want you to right click, then go to file, create a file, and the file name is compose. Okay, let me see what's the name of the project. Actually, compose dash no docker compose. Okay, so we're gonna say docker. So this is the name of the file. Okay, docker dash compose. Okay, compose dot yaml. Okay, so once you do that, click on OK. Oh, docker. Oh, we have it's already existing. Okay, yeah. Actually, I had already created this file over here. So I have the file here. So docker dash compose.yaml. So once I double click on that, this here is the port where you can be able to access the Zipkin. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and copy exactly what you see here. So go ahead and copy exactly what you see here. Okay, so version is 3, service. Okay, then we have Zipkin, and then this is the image that is going to be created. Okay, and then it's running on port this one. Okay, so once you have this installed, and also once you have your dependency installed, let's go ahead and run Zipkin. Okay, for us to run Zipkin, let's go back here. For us to run Zipkin, we need to use this command. Copy this command and go to your terminal. Okay, and then I want you to go ahead and paste that. Okay, and then click on enter. And then what it's gonna do is that I think I have it running already. Okay, but this is what you have to do. Click on this one, and then you will be able to access Zipkin from this what from this what do you call it, from this port here over here. Okay, so as you can see, that's created a network. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I will go back to my Docker. Let me see if I have Zipkin up and running. And as you can see, we have Zipkin here up and running. Okay, Zipkin up and running. Once you run this Docker run here, okay, it's gonna create a container, okay, where you can be able to click on this port here and be able to access Zipkin. So if I click on that port here, you see I have Zipkin running at port 9411. Okay, great. So you have your project running. Okay, you have this running. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is run our application. So I'm gonna click on here. Okay, actually, before we run our application, let's go straight to application.yaml over here. So this is the name of my server port. This is the name of Spring Boot application. This is my database actually, okay, and the password too, okay. And also we have create and drop. Then below this information here, I want you to go ahead and write this information down here. Management of endpoints, okay? And then also the trace sampling probability is going to be 1.0. So go ahead and make sure you copy this one and paste it in your application.yaml. So once you have that, the next thing we have to do is run our system. Okay, so click on here, run. Okay, so run your application. As you can see, the application started on port 8080. Okay, we also have a table being created inside our database. Okay, yeah, and that's it. So what we're gonna do is that we'll use Postman. Okay, we're gonna use Postman to send a request in our database, some information inside our database. And then once we do that, we will try and see if we can be able to access, trace our system using Zipkin. Okay, so I'm gonna send I'm gonna send a request. So this is my request over here. So I'm gonna do a post mapping. So if I click, as you see, I have a 200 status. That means it was successful. As you can come down here, you will see that you see there's some information that has been sent inside appointment, end time, patient, and start time has been sent inside our database. Okay. So the next thing that you need to do is go back again to Zipkin. Okay. Where is Zipkin? We have it here. So if I click here on run query, you see, there goes our project. Here it is, appointment. Okay.